everybody. Thanks for being here. Hope everybody can hear me well. Let's get ready to get started. What you see now is the piece I made yesterday with Assistant Grace. And just finishing kind of tightening up the shop here. We're going to roll up some cane to make some twisted pattern rondels, which are flat plates. And then we're going to do some mold blowing to try out a new aluminum mold that I just made recently with a friend. Welcome. Thank you for being here. If I can answer any questions for anybody while I'm working, shout them out in the chat. We're live on YouTube and Twitch today. Go in and get my first gather. And I need to shape it up into a long cylindrical bubble where the sides of the bubble are evenly thick all the way down to the tip. So I need to blow the bubble into the tip and then stretch it out. So keep a nice short bubble for now, let it sit back. And we'll blow it out. Hit the tip with the bubble and then stretch it out, pulling that weight down from the sides. And now we've got just the right size. So now I have nice, evenly thick walls all the way down from top to bottom. And it's not the kind of bubble that happens to have something like a long, thick, extra weight at the bottom. Pretty evenly thick from the pipe down to the tip of the bubble. Hey, Racing Kid. Thanks for being here, man. I see you over there on YouTube. Just getting prepped up to do a cane roll-up. I don't know if you've seen Andromeda. Oh, there she is. Hey, Andromeda. Andromeda Creates. Andro Creates on YouTube. Thanks for being here, gang. Just working on some pieces for you. Heating up this bubble. I'm going to roll up some canes on the outside. Twist them. do some other fun stuff to them, and then blow them out. Make a rondel for you. Andromeda, I was wondering, I've been meaning to ask, would you like me to add a hook on the edge of the rondel so these can be hung, or do you want them to be table mounted, freestanding? Oops. It's not quite ready yet. This is dirty. Let's remeasure. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Yeah, like an ornament hook, but on the edge of the glass. The thing is, it can make the glass two things. A, it needs to be that way, hung from that position to start with, and you're kind of committed to that. And B, it makes it fragile. Like if that hook ever does break, you know, like there is no real fixing it. You just got to grind and glue and figure out another plate stand method or something like that. So I'm risking that when I make my jellyfish. So, you know, I can make a decent hook, but it is a glass hook, and it is relying on the weight of the glass to sit on it, hang from it. So I'm going to leave it really up to you. If I don't, the others that I've made for you don't have that. Yeah, it is. Okay. You're resilient with the tabletop. You got a lot of options and positions you can adjust it for your painting. You're not really committed to it being portrayed a certain way. You can do what you want with it. That works. And honestly, it's easier for me and a little less stressful in the process to get that done. Getting a hook on a thin edge of glass, make that hook look just right, and get it into the oven can be kind of a tight timing when you're working by yourself. Okay. I always use UV glue It's a Loctite 349, and it is really, really good. As long as you have a good UV light or some proper sunlight for a while, you can get that really well bonded. Otherwise, a clear 5-minute epoxy would do it, but those can tend to yellow over time, and they actually can expand and leave air bubbles inside the glue. So sometimes that's not the best option. All right, let's go ahead and hook up my hose. I'm going to twist this. See how it looks. I'm adding a slight bit of air pressure through the blow hose. Okay, so now I'm going to marver this again, bring it down to shape, and then we'll stuff it in the mold. It'll end up kind of zigzagging those lines around. Alright, so now it's just time to let that cool down a little bit before we gather more glass on the outside. The more cool that I get this, the cooler that I get this, then the more it'll be able to manage the new glass that I put on the outside. So it won't collapse this bubble or give way or anything like that, which could happen if I gather when this bubble is still too warm. It'll just take the heat of the new glass too soon. So we're showing this out, just giving it time to get back to that dull red glow. And these are kind of mystery colors. I really thought that this was going to be like a red and an opal white. So I'm thinking that's kind of what we're getting here. We'll see. It might look like a peppermint. Maybe it'd be like ivory, not opal white or something like that. So now that I go in here, I can take a gather of 2,000 degree glass on the outside, and I can trust that original bubble to not overheat too soon and collapse and give way and make me lose my pattern or anything like that. I just have a nice maintained bubble with a hot gather around it. You can see that new glass moving independently around the outside of the old glass. Now, this part of the process doesn't take much work from me, even though it might seem from students that this is one of the hardest parts of the process. This is just maintaining the new gather of glass around the outside of your original bubble, allowing that internal bubble start heating up. You'll start seeing it move without the new glass moving independently. That shows us that the heat is soaking into the original bubble very nicely. However, it's pretty unevenly heated right now. You can probably see from back there, it's hotter there than it is there. I want to go into the furnace and heat everything evenly. I'm going to just stay in here until when I come out, what I should see is that everything is evenly heated all the way through. There's a very even orange glow all the way from the tip of the bubble into the metal of the moil that I have here holding the glass. So my plan is to just stay here in the middle of it and soak up the heat for quite a while. When I come out, I'm going to make sure that I don't sit down unless everything's evenly heated and I have the right temperature to work with. Okay, now we start getting into using the newspaper. Cooling certain areas with a softer touch than what the metal offers or wood. Now it's time to heat evenly again, stretch, and blow this thing out. So when I get down to the bench here, I'm going to get in here quick, stretch it. And while I stretch, I'm going to paper the bottom, cooling that down. And now, when I go to squeeze in my line, I can inflate at the same time. Maybe I'll cool down the bottom too, pushing this way. Okay, so this is the only shape I need to be able to blow out a very nice rounded and flat rondel. So I'm gonna let this cool. I'm gonna actually scratch a little surface into the tip, into the center of the glass down here. Another piece of cane. I'll just use it to drag, turn, and score a little circle right into the bottom. That gives me a target to line up my next attachment. And now I'm just going to hang out and flash it. I'll go make a punty in a second. Turn off my fan so I'm not just blowing cold air directly on it. This just has to be the tiniest little gather of glass. This is called the punty. This is Italian for transfer vessel. Excuse me, we're going to transfer the vessel. So it's like a bridge, a verb for bridge or something like that. I don't speak Italian. However, pote, something like that. I'm going to go in here and flash this. Flashing it is just giving it an overall heat on the piece so that no one part is going to be hotter than another. And now it'll cool down the same way evenly. I just keep it turning to keep it centered. Now I've got my punty heated up again. Nice light touch, and I had a nice little target to center it on. Smooth this out, center it, get the wobbles out of there, dribble some water on it, set it on the rail and ding it. Oh shit. And I didn't stick it on hot enough. So they're talking too much. Oh well, let's do it again. There we are. All right. Sorry about that, Andromeda. I was yakking on too much, not heating enough. So let me go ahead and put some more of these canes in. We'll do another. And we'll just call that a color test. But it's okay. We had a whopping 20 minutes invested in it. We'll do it again. Here's another batch. This is going to be, let's see, hyacinth, and it looks like maybe something called iris orange, so amethyst actually. And when I say orange, I don't really mean it. It's just called iris orange. It's kind of like a taupe cream color. Yeah, I think big picture also I need to turn off or at least redirect a couple more fans around the shop. But we'll get to that. Okay. Okay, so there's the roll up in the oven. Let's do this again. That's only going to take 5 minutes to be warm. Let's do it again. In the meantime, there's a piece from yesterday. If anybody wants to see. Wow, that's a zoom. Interesting. All right. I'll put this somewhere safe. that'll do. It's nice up there. All right, just heating up the blowpipe. We'll get it going. Thank you again, everybody, for being here today. Andromeda, you might see down there on the floor at the base of the bench. That's the color we had there. Nice bright orange red. That's all good. It might have been a little too vibrant. I'm not trying to make something that takes away from your colors. I was thinking about doing all black and white for everything I gave you, but that didn't work out. But the other ones I have are lighter in color and less saturated. All right, gang, let's do this again. And all the coffee I can handle today. Okay, here we go. Now, if I'm correct, and this is a iris orange color, which remember is just a guess, then I should be able to reduce it. Let me clean this off a little bit. If I aim a propane torch at it, it should go super silvery on the color, which can give it a nice reaction. Oops. Just let it cool a little bit here. Yeah. See that? That's pretty cool. So we're going to let it cool. I'll gather up more clear on the outside. Start making it into a nice little bowl. See how this color looks when it actually blows out. When it comes to the reaction you're seeing there, some colors are made with extra metals and oxides and minerals added to them in order to make the color. When you add a combustible flame to it, not an oxidizing flame, which is different, or a rich flame to it with heavy propane, you're adding a flame that is starved of oxygen. So it is literally burning out the oxides of the color, leaving you with the other stuff, which is usually something like a silver nitrate kind of a mineral that is used in the batch. But that's what shows up on the surface there, is what's left over after you burn out the oxides of what's on the surface with a gas torch. There's a reducing flame and there's a, heavily oxygenated flame that you could be giving it. If I were to take an oxygen flame to that right now, it would just wipe away all that mirror finish that's on there. And actually, when I go in the glass here as well, it's going to touch other glass right on the surface, and it's going to lose that mirrored effect. It's just a slight reaction that you get when it's on the surface. And there's reasons to use it. And there's reasons that it won't work in some cases. So, for instance, this case, I just cased it in clear. So it's not going to be mirror finished on the surface anymore. It's under the surface. And it has balanced out with other things that are in the glass. And not exactly gone back to its original color, but a slight change of it. And you'll see as it blows out what color it is. I'm not really doing anything to majorly change the color by doing that. It's just an effect on the surface. Yeah, I wouldn't want to breathe whatever you do, what you get when you set that stuff on fire. Remember, everything I'm dealing with here has already been vitrified into glass and has already gone through one chemical change, in which it's not a dried white powder that can just be breathed in anymore. And it's part of the rock that is the glass now, so not dangerous for me. Okay, we're ready to start hooking on the blow hose and get this thing blown out to the full size. Alright. Now we're getting some nice effect in those colors. It's more like a pale blue than a lavender or an amethyst like I thought it was. Part of the fun. These are mystery colors that came in like cane sticks that are basically just solid color pulled already into solid cane sticks. So it was like a multi-pack of a wide variety of these things. I'm just kind of grabbing some that I think look good together and then go. But I don't know the item numbers. All right, we're gonna leave it like that. Now let's scratch in the circle. We'll start moving on with this piece. I do have a student showing up in about a half hour. All right, there's my circle. I'm gonna flash this before I hang it. Mystery pixie sticks, yes. That's a much better way of saying it than all that shit I just said. All right, let's do this, make it punty. And Andromeda says she can confirm punty means what? Bridge? So, I don't know. If you go up to New York to Corning at the Museum of Glass, they will teach you about the interesting word that is punty, because in Italy it was known as punti, like bridge, or maybe even pote. In France, unbeknownst to the Italians, it was called a punt for point. And up in Sweden and way up northern Europe, Norway, and all those places, they actually had another reason for calling it punty that I don't know right now. I can't think of it, but it's interesting. Somehow that worked out. All right, I'm flashing my punty, getting it nice and hot. We're just gonna touch it and go. Touch. Turn, see how nice and warm that is. That's a much firmer connection on there. A little water, tappy tap. Come on, buddy. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if you're into that stuff, Andromeda, but Bill Bryson is a great author that has a couple books about that kind of stuff, where the words came from. It's awesome. Come on. I mean, actually, if I were to suggest any of his books, it probably wouldn't even be the ones about the language, because he has awesome stuff. The one that you'll see the most attention about is called The Walk in the Woods, and it's truly not even remotely as good as any of his other books. It's a good book. It's fine. And yeah, they made a movie about it. It doesn't matter. It's not as great as his other books, which are, nonfiction. The one In a Sunburned Land is good. That's just about his travels through Australia. But the ones that I like the most, let me think off the top of my head. There's one real obvious one. Short History of Nearly Everything, which is, I would just go ahead and do the unabridged version, and accept that it's going to be a pretty decent 101 level course in all the normal stuff that got us to being here. It's kind of a nice thing, even physics and chemistry and all that. He kind of goes through the history of it all and how we know it, what we know, and all that. Sorry though, let me think of the other one that is totally more relevant. The one about, I think it's just called Home, Home. It's about the history of the home, kind of from obviously the standpoint of where he's from, which is England, but like all the things that, why is it that salt and pepper are on the tables? Why is it that, like, how did that go? How did that come to be? Why do forks go on the left? Why do they have 4 tines? All those kinds of things are pretty interesting if you want to be a nerd like me. Stupid random facts, but it's a book full of it. And by the way, I'm pretty sure he reads his own books, from what I remember. It's been a while since I've listened to one, but if that appeals to you, I'm an audiobook dude. So. there's one. Have my students here. So I'm going to go ahead and back this on out. Show you what's going on and probably head out pretty soon. Thank you all for being here. Thanks. I hope you can work with that, Andromeda. Like I said, I got 2 others for you already, maybe 4 altogether, actually. So, all right, let me clean up a bit. How are you? Not bad. Well, I can try to do it. Yeah, it's a weird out of laziness, I think. It doesn't matter. But the reason that I had my issue and needed to bump you an hour back at 9:45, canceled. So couldn't come in for his 10 to 1, which I was going to work for him for 2 hours, and then you 12 to 2 up here, but he couldn't. His car broke, so he couldn't make it at the last minute. And I wasn't about to call you and say, hey, back to normal, come in and work this. All right. Oh, okay. So let me. When you're ready, let me clean up. Oh, look, you got new mitts. Yeah. Good for you. They're awkward. They're not like the other mitts. They're actual mitts where there's no fingers inside. Oh. So you kind of got to just get in there. Like you got to figure that out. Just keep going, push it in there so your thumb can get into it. So otherwise, you feel like you're never in there, and it's like way too easy to kind of dive in. This is D2, but they should be good for quite a while. And I got extra bits for the outside. I can't remember anymore how we gave this and this. Whenever you, I don't know, this is different. Yes, I understand that. In terms of like the way they make it, so it's actually opposite. That is all rolled up on the outside. Okay. But no matter what, you probably need to too long. Or maybe. But that doesn't matter. The process in this case is having a clear core, totally clear 2 gathers, and then rolling up a big swatch or 2 swatches of stuff up on the outside. And then stretch it. That's how this is made. Got it. This is made by having a clear swatch of color as your starting point. Pick up on the end, and you add clear on either side, so that that's your core, and then that's what it's actually used, just within the big differences, and much more difficult, and much more reasonable, and able to be practiced. So, to make this, for this, either way, all of these should be maybe 1 inch longer than this. Even if it was this long, that's fine. It's totally reasonable because imagine what you're doing. You're picking up, you're putting together like swatches of, I don't know, that could be 1, 2, 3 colors, maybe even 4 color on the inside. It's like a band, like this line, but so you have to pick up real carefully on the outside of your existing clear border. Perpendicular to the clear border. parallel to the other. It's like picking it up on either side, and then we try it. Okay, so, and the only reason I know that it's 2 is because you can look at either side. There's beginning and end of 1. Yeah, that's one big band that we wrapped around many times. That was only one ribbon instead of 2. Oh, that's cool. And how? At the moment, I have a very limited palette. I have these. So we'll start messing around. I also have some similar Duro. Maybe we can add it. You happen to know what these? Yes, because these were made for the woodwork. Cool. So they're all again, it doesn't really matter the amount of clear we're talking about. Makes sense. So if I had something to other colors from the past, I would use. That's not ideal. And yeah, you are missing. So there's that chance that we've got stress in there. At some point, you have to just kind of say, I know that it's stressed out. Can it heat up and melt and twist? Maybe we can do it. Okay. Anyway, the moment is all wrong. In some way, to the world that I went to the world and chose actively, holding some number and I went to number. Yeah, I can tell you, it sounds like I probably would have said, you would give me a credit. It sounds like I would have said, color, like this much color for this much color, right? Like, even like, I think we give you related in some way. I remember the conversation, but honestly, that seemed like so long ago that I feel like they probably would have taken care of it already. Honestly, it doesn't seem like it even within, like, what are we talking about? And it wasn't something that I, like, came over and said, here, take this, because... No. I brought you these. Yes, I needed, and you needed it for something. I remember now, yeah. And there wasn't a trade at the time. No. I won't think about it, but I feel like you probably don't remember more about it than I do now. Just curious as to. You told me you can find this something. Actually, you can't. Oh, I did learn that now. Where? It helped my certification again. It was not in production for 3 years or something like that. Oh, okay, then I'll go back. You can get it. Actually, that's already got yours. I went up to go buy some. It was all right there. Not outside. Color or whatever it is. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, that's from my list. Within the vision that like a whole lot of stuff broken up over there. I don't remember it, like the case, I got but I'm happy that like we're bringing color. I will be able to. Right now, oh, anyway. Always pull more, but I've got a little bit of everything. Very first time we ever used it, he didn't know how to use a drill. Or hammers, by the way. Hammer. The 10,000-year-old device, the hammer, you have to turn this sideways and hit that way. Ooh. Okay. So. Now, because of the length, they can be only